Hello and welcome to Hot Issues. Today we are talking football. We are talking about the Ghana Football Association and Ghana's participation in the World Cup in Brazil. We shall be looking at the preparations we have made, whether the preparations are adequate. We'll probably look at the budget. Welcome to Hot Issues. As I indicated from the very beginning, we are talking football today. We are talking about the Ghana Football Association. We are talking about preparations for the World Cup in Brazil, the budget, the choice of players, and everything. And we are fortunate today to have with us the chairman of the Ghana Football Association himself, Mr. Kwesi Nyantakyi. Sir, you're welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
How did we qualify? What did you put in to make us qualify for the World Cup?
We had a good plan for our qualification. We had two previous experiences of qualifying to World Cups, namely the 2006 World Cup and the 2010 World Cup. So we built on that. We had to do a program for training because the qualification matches were played during the season, and so you would not be able to keep players in camp for long. The maximum was 5 days, and so you had to make a maximum use of the days. We started with Lesotho in Kumasi, the match during which the light went off and hairs were ordered to, it's famously referred to as the match where hairs were ordered to roll. You recall that we won by a wide margin, 7-1. And then we went to Zambia the following week. We had to go and stay in South Africa and prepare the team before going to Zambia. We didn't get a good result in Zambia because we lost by 1-0. Then we came back to Kumasi again, which is our stronghold for playing World Cup qualifying matches. We beat Sudan 4-0, and then the next time again we were in Sudan. We won 3-1 against Sudan. We pitched camp in Ethiopia for strategic reasons, because Ethiopia is the highest point in Africa and the weather condition in Sudan is harsh. So in order to contain the harsh weather condition, we needed players to go through a certain equally harsh conditions on a high altitude. So we went to Sudan, we won 3-1. Then the following week we were in Maseru, Lesotho. We won again in Lesotho 2-0. And then the final match was against Zambia and Kumasi. We won 2-1. It was not easy at all. Having qualified out of the group, we still had one hurdle to clear, me and you, with Egypt. We won 6-1 in Kumasi and lost 2-1 in Cairo. And that confirmed our qualification to the 2014 FIFA World Cup in Brazil.
The victory over Egypt, did it come to you as a surprise?
I knew we would win, but I was surprised with the margin. I don't know anybody who correctly predicted the scoreline for that game. I never thought in my wildest dream that we beat Egypt 6-1, considering the stature of Egypt. And then the stakes in that match were very high. Both of us having qualified to that level meant that we were evenly even in strength, or evenly rated in strength. And so I thought we were going to win 2-1, 3-1, 2-0, 3-0. But never did I expect that we win 6-1, sorry. Yeah. I think we over-prepared for the match. We did not leave anything to chance in that game. We did not leave, and there were so many promptings from all quarters, and some of them put fear in us, and we had to avoid the embarrassing situation of losing or even drawing at home. So the boys were told that that match was the final match and that we needed to win, because if we went to Egypt for the return leg, there was no way we could win. So let us decide our destiny, which is in our own hands. And I think that God was very kind to us that day. The boys did very well. The technical team did very well. The government did very well. And GNPC in particular gave an extra incentive for the game. They paid an extra 5,000 which became a subject matter of intense public debates. There was a hue and cry over that amount, but it paid off, and I think it's justified.
But God is not a Ghanaian. You attribute your victory to God. God is also the God of Egypt.
Exactly. That's why I talked about the players doing well. I talked about our technical team, the government, and then the sponsors, and particularly GMPC. And God helps those who help themselves.
So you help yourself.
Yes, exactly.
you said that Kumasi is a stronghold in your World Cup, matches.
Yes.
How come?
We have a good reason for playing our World Cup matches in Kumasi. Accra is the capital of Ghana and the natural venue for all national team matches. But the experience we had in Accra was that Accra seems to have a cosmopolitan support base. In other words, Accra has supporters who appreciate good football. And when the going gets tough and the opponent is doing better, they tend to support the opponent. Kumasi has a partisan support base. So when your team is not doing well, they are still with you. And so we seem to enjoy a relatively better support in Kumasi than in Accra. And it's not surprising because that is how the supporters of Asante Kotoko are. This is the biggest club in Ghana, no doubt, per the records of the GFA, because we take a percentage of the gate from every game, and our computation of gate takings shows that Asante Kotoko alone contributes over 50% of our annual revenue from all the matches. And these are people who are so partisan. A shoe shine boy in Kumasi will save money to go and watch a game, whereas somebody in Accra may even come, and if you don't give him free access, he won't enter the stadium. So that is how it became our a strong base for Black Stars games.
Are you ready now to go to the World Cup? Are you ready? Are you fully prepared?
Almost. I won't say the team is ready today, but we are on course. We have lined up a series of programs, and we are rolling them out one after the other. We started our non-residential campaign on the 20th of this month, and that will travel up to the 23rd, Friday. There's going to be a farewell dinner for the team on Thursday, and then on Friday, a farewell match to bid for people to bid the team farewell. And then the team travels to Holland on the 24th, arrives there on 25th, goes through a 7 or 8 day training regimen before playing the Dutch national team on 31st, then leaves Holland on the 1st of June and spends the next 10 days in the United States to do the final fine-tuning before we play. During that 10-day period, we play South Korea on 9th of June, and then on the 11th of June the team departs to Brazil and starts the World Cup on the 16th of June. Things are going according to plan, and I am very optimistic that by the time we play our first game on the 16th of June, the team will be ready for the World Cup.
Have you got all the money that you need?
We have almost all. I would say all the monies that we need. I was just talking to the chief director before I walked into the studio.
The chief director of the Ministry
of Youth and Sports, yes, about getting all the money before we leave. The money issue of the budget became a matter of controversy. I'm sure we'll get to that.
We're almost there.
Yes, but you recall that there were so many figures being bandied around. The budget was discussed with the minister, with the chief of staff, with even the cabinet, presided over by His Excellency the President, and a certain amount was approved, 9.5 million. That is the component.
$9.5 million.
Yes, that is the aspect of the budget that will be funded from public funds. There are other parts of the budget that more or less will come from private sources or self-financing. For instance, we're playing the Dutch national team, we'll be playing the Korean national team, and the cost of the matches, these two matches, will not be funded by the taxpayer. Some will be sponsors, others will be the match itself, and so forth and so on. our stay in Holland, our stay in the United States, not going to be. So, by and large, the financial issues have been sorted out. We've agreed which parts are coming from government, which parts are coming from sponsors and other private sources, and everything has been sorted out now. But the controversy also rested a bit on some misinformation. People were making comparative analysis of Ghana, United States, Nigeria, and wrong figures were bandied around. People said US is richer than Ghana, and yet we were presenting a bigger budget than the US. The US budget for the World Cup is 55 million United States dollars. Ghana does not come anywhere near it. I got this confirmation from the president of the Soccer Federation of the United States, Sunil Gulati, who is a lecturer in Columbia, New York. Nigeria budget is bigger than our budget. Algeria is bigger than our budget. And all of them are spending quite a fortune on the World Cup. We don't live in an island, and we belong to the international community. So we cannot present a budget outrageous and exceptional and looking different from the rest of the budgets elsewhere.
We are taking $9.5 million from the public purse. How much are we taking from other sources?
It will cost us about $2.2 or $2.3 million from the sponsors to do the other one.
So we are looking at something around $12-13 million.
About that, yeah. About that, because the other ones are not coming from the not public sources. And when you go to the World Cup, you also earn money based on your performance. And these monies, the understanding is that they are deductible. The expenses are deductible from the earnings of the World Cup. If we play the first 3 games, regardless of the outcomes of the games, you get $8 million from FIFA. If we progress to the next stage, you get $1 million to add to make it 9. If we get to quarterfinals, you get $40 million. If we get to semifinals, you get $80 million. If we place third at the World Cup, you get $20 million. The second team gets $25 million, and the winner of the World Cup earns $35 million. So it's not a worthless investment. It's, I would say, a profitable investment. No matter how much you spend, we will come back with a surplus over expenditure.
It's been said that we have many problems. Many of our people don't have access to potable water. We have issues with health. We have issues with education, and so on. The question is then posed, why should we commit so much to get 26 people struggling to kick a ball into a post?
The answer is simple. If we don't go to the World Cup, all those problems be solved. The failure or decision of Ghana not to participate in the World Cup is not a solution to the myriad of problems you have in the country. There will be many illiterate people around, many hungry people, many sick people around, even if we don't go to the World Cup. If we even stop playing football in this country, that will not solve our problems. But football brings many advantages, intangible advantages to the country beyond monetary gains. If we look at every gain in terms of finance or money, then you get it wrong. When football is played, it serves as an instrument of social cohesion and unity. People go to the stadia, they work together, they interact, and it breaks a lot of social barriers. Every government has a social responsibility to promote cohesion, and football is one of the means of doing that. It creates jobs for people because you have to create job opportunities for your citizens, and it's even a way of preventing crime and some of the things that will happen without football. When football, if we look at the number of people who are employed by football, beyond the 26 people, clubs employ them both local and abroad, but Ghanaian clubs will employ people as players, coaches. Some of the people who employ there, without football, maybe they'll be miscreants or they'll even be criminals. And it's even said that during Black Stars matches. When the Black Stars is playing, you don't find many vehicles on the way, so the work of the MT2 is reduced. During Black Stars matches, people are watching, even in their homes or at pubs, job bars, and where have you. And in South Africa, research was done on matches between two biggest clubs, Orlando Pirates and Kaizer Chiefs. And one of the findings was that during those two games, crime rate goes down because all the criminals are at the stadium watching the game. You know, if we look at this, the benefit of football in that light, then you understand why we should pump money into it. Apart from that, I also see it as an instrument of international diplomacy and relations. After 2006, the Black Stars went to the Far East. And what I realized and learned from that visit was that through the participation of the Black Stars in the 2006 World Cup, the people of Korea and Japan got to know more about Ghana and its cocoa, and the interest in cocoa grew higher. Many people hadn't heard about Ghana in Korea and Japan, the rural parts of Korea and Japan. They thought Ghana was the same as Guyana. We went there to play matches and they confessed. And they also told us their demand for Ghanaian cocoa had increased because of that. So some of the monies that will be given to state institutions responsible for tourism and international relations would be better served if it's even invested in football, because football carries this country further than when you travel and go anywhere. The first thing that you are asked, oh, football, they'll be asking about Makelesi, Abedi Pele, and so forth and so on. It shows how far football has sold our country. So I do not think that it's a useless investment to pump these monies into football. It's very good, and Ghana cannot live in isolation. The rest of the international community is doing it because of these apparent benefits that football offers our people.
Now back to the preparations. I mean, the coach called up 26 players.
Yes.
First day of training, 14 showed up.
Yes.
Is that impressive?
He called 26 players, and the original plan was for us to camp in Holland. But we also realized that some of them will be coming on holidays, or most of them. And the coach was aware that on the first day of training, 14 will be coming. Nevertheless, he asked that the program kickstarts on that day, because when the players come and are left loose, they can engage in social activities that can affect their fitness, because some may embark on a drinking spree and all kinds of things that can affect their fitness. So we were not expecting to have the 26 players on the first day. We knew that 26 were not coming, but for the purpose of camaraderie and being together, we thought that no matter how small the number was, let them come. Some even sought permission to stay away, and the coach gave approval for that. Having said that, FIFA even asked that the players should rest for 1 week after their leagues in Europe. But because of the fact that the coach wants them to keep together, so this training in Accra is really not an intensive training regime for them, but it's just to keep them together and keep the bond and team spirit. So the 14 was not disappointing. The following day it increased to 22 or 23, which was not too bad. It's not unexpected. In fact, to manage a football team, you need to be 20% psychologist. You do certain things just to satisfy your players and let them feel important, and let them feel that everybody is behind them. Even the president of the republic is coming to see you, and they feel very good about that. So those are some of the things we do.
Welcome back to Hot Issues, and we are in conversation with Mr. Kwesi Nyantakyi, Chairman of the Ghana Football Association. Sir, only one player is coming from the local league. Why? How?
I've been asked this question more than 10 times, and it's a legitimate question, so we need to answer it. Let me underscore my response with this statement, that the national team of a country is made up of the best players of that country, regardless of where they ply their trade. The national team of a country is not a district assembly or a parliament, which is made up of representatives from various interest groups or constituencies or electoral areas. To that extent, all the best players of your country may come from your local league, and you have to select them. On the other hand, you may have all your best players coming from abroad, and you can't do anything about that. Even the almighty Brazil, of all the players they selected, more than 18 of them are from abroad. And the best players of your country will always be selected on merit. You do not select a player because he plays the local league. The one player you talk about who is in the local league, Stephen Adams, was selected ahead of others who play abroad, namely Daniel Ajay and Razak Brahima, who are foreign-based goalkeepers, and yet this young man beat them to it. The coach has a duty to select the best players, and we expect that he will look everywhere, including our local league. The fact that only one player was selected from the local league, to me, is not an indictment on the quality of football in the local league. We have had occasions where many players were selected from the local league. The following year, they were all foreign-based players. I just want to recall that in 2013, when we went to the African Cup of Nations in South Africa, 6 players were selected from the local league. By the end of the competition, they all became foreign-based players. And so the issue of whether a player plies his trade here or there is really not an issue. All the players who are in the Black Stars now, over 90% of them were once upon a time players of our domestic league. And you have to compare our local league players with those who ply their trade abroad. Somebody may even say, or I've heard a suggestion that we should give a quota to the domestic league. If you even decide to give 3 slots to the domestic league and all the 3 players in the domestic league are goalkeepers, it becomes problematic. If all the best players in the domestic league are 3 central defenders, it equally becomes problematic. So there is nowhere in the world where players are chosen to the national team because they either apply their trade abroad or in the local league of the country. The Ghana local league is not bad. It is when you begin comparing our local league with the European leagues, then you begin to encounter problems. Our local league is certainly not in the class of the German league or the English Premier League or the Spanish La Liga or the French Ligue 1 or any of the top leagues in the world. Our league must be compared with our peers who are Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, South Africa, Egypt, Algeria, and so on. Why are we not comparing our economy with the German economy? But we are comparing our team with the German team. In Africa, I have even stated that the best leagues are not necessarily the most endowed financially. South African League is the richest league in Africa because the South African economy is the strongest until recently that they say Nigeria is number 1. That one is even on paper, because if we look at how developed South Africa and how Nigeria is, it will take some time for Nigeria to overtake South Africa. The leagues that we have in Africa, the strength of each league is a function of the economy, because you depend on sponsorship to run football, and to attract sponsorship you must have strong companies in the country. In South Africa, one company is able to pay $200 million to the South African Premier League. Here, $3 million has been the highest, and nobody has any qualms with that because we don't have strong companies here who can pump money into football. If we go to Nigeria, the problem is no different. And so what some countries have even devised in Francophone Africa as a way of supporting football is that government directly contributes monies to clubs. In Cote d'Ivoire, in Togo, in Congo, in Cameroon. In Cote d'Ivoire, each year the government gives $70,000 to Premier Division clubs and $30,000 to First Division clubs, each club. Clubs participating in the CAF inter-club competitions, your travel expenses are all paid by the government. When you are playing home, your opponent's hotel expenses are all paid by the government. We used to do that in Ghana in the military days, in the days of military regimes. But we understand that our country also has its own challenges. Even now that government is concentrating on only the national teams, people are comparing such investment with investing in roads, hospitals, water, and so forth and so on. We believe that a way should be found where clubs can attract sponsorship so we can keep our star players. Because today Mahatma Otu plays for Sporting Mirin. He comes to Accra House of Folk. 2 years later, he gets a contract, he's out. $100,000 and he's allowed to leave. A Ghanaian player leaves Ghana. He goes to Thailand and he's paid $5,000 a month. One goes to Vietnam, $5,000 a month, and he's allowed to leave because no Ghanaian club can pay its players more than, if not even more than, up to $1,000. So we are not able to retain players, the best players. They will always leave. And so today, this goalkeeper who is even in the Black Stars, Steven Adams, tomorrow he'll be a foreign-based player, and we have to start afresh looking for players. So that's the dilemma we find ourselves. And it's not a Ghanaian, peculiar Ghanaian problem. It's all over sub-Saharan Africa.
But I thought that the import of the question was simply, how come that all your best players are out? Is it not a reflection of the standard of the league as compared to leagues elsewhere?
But where do they live to? That's the point I was making. That is due to financial considerations or economic reasons. You cannot keep your best players. Mahatma Otu has to go to Sweden. You can keep your best players. Even South Africa, we have a lot of our players in South Africa. We have a lot of our players in Congo. In South Africa 2013, we had Kwesi Boateng, Solomon Asante, Fatah Odauda, Daniel Ajay, Rashid Sumaila, and Mahatma Otu. 6 locally based players. At the end of the competition, they all left. Rashid Sumaila, Daniel Ajay, who else? 2 of them, they found themselves in South Africa. Solomon Asante, Kwesi Boateng found themselves in DRC. And they are earning far, far, far more than what they were earning here. They are getting $10,000 in Congo. In South Africa, over $5,000. We are not able to retain them. And that is a problem.
But where they go to, football is managed in such a way as to generate its own revenue. The marketing, why can't we do the same here? And the marketing doesn't have to be done with only local companies. Football is international.
Yeah. Let me tell you, you do your best, but there are limitations. I just cited 2 examples, South Africa and Congo DR. In South Africa, I indicated that the size of the economy allows companies to contribute a certain amount of money. We engage people to market for us because we don't have the expertise to do that. Not Ghanaians, but I'm talking about GFA. So we outsource that function. We look for anybody who can do it, and then we pay you a commission. How much were they able to get from SuperSport? $700,000. How much does SuperSport pay South Africa for their league? $200 million. Is it because of poor marketing? My answer is no. It is not because of poor marketing. It is linked to the economy. I asked them, in South Africa, a population of about 56 to 57 million people, you have about between 8 and 11 million people use the SuperSport Digibox. In Ghana, a population of 26 million people, you have less than 100,000 people using the SuperSport Digibox. So SuperSport is ready to pay more money into the South African league than they will pay into the Ghanaian league, because the sponsorship is an investment for return. You must get value for your investment. You go to Botswana, a population of 2 million people, 400,000 of them use the SuperSport Digibox, which in percentage terms is higher than Ghana. In real figures, far higher than Ghana. So SuperSport is ready to put more money in Botswana than in Ghana. Is this about marketing? Obviously no. You go to Zambia. The Zambian population is lower than Ghana. I think there are 12 or 13 million people there. There are more people there using SuperSport Digibox than in Ghana. So the economy will also indicate the purchasing power of the people, and so their ability to afford services like SuperSport services. How many people in Ghana can pay $100 a month just to subscribe to SuperSport? The man is thinking about bread and butter. So super sport is secondary, and these are the real indicators that influence decisions of sponsors. So it's not the fault of the GFA.
The monies you're spending, budgeted for from state coffers, sponsors, and so on, are you going to spend some of that on supporters?
No. We don't have anything to do with supporters. The issue of ferrying supporters to the World Cup is the responsibility of government, and the budget for sponsors has nothing to do with the GFA. So the monies that you've heard about are strictly GFA Black Stars expenses. It goes into airfares. The airfares are very expensive because you're traveling. Let me give you the itinerary of the team: Accra, Amsterdam, Miami, Maceió in Brazil, then back through Amsterdam, Accra. One person is in excess of $10,000 because you fly them business class. FIFA contributes part of the money. You are talking about hotel expenses for the camping. You are talking about appearance fees for games played. When we play friendly matches, we don't pay winning bonuses. We pay what is called appearance fee to the players, and that has nothing to do with the outcome of the friendly match. Each player is given 5,000 USD, and so you can imagine how much is involved in that. You are talking about medical expenses.
How I wish I were a player.
It's a very difficult job. But if you run for 10 minutes, I think you will say that it's better to be a senior journalist. But I believe that when we were younger, if we had those opportunities, we would have been better off being players than what we find ourselves. You know, our economic circumstances would have been better than we find ourselves now. You are talking about medical costs of the team. We have staff that we pay. We have extra delegation. FIFA pays for 45 people at the World Cup, and our delegation is more than that. It's about 70. So the extra members of the
26 players, and you have a delegation size.
The players to the World Cup will not even be 26. It will be 23.
So how come that you have a delegation of 70?
I can tell you. Look, you have a technical team of about 15 or 20 people. You have a coach, you have an assistant coach, goalkeepers coach, a physiotherapist, in fact 3 physiotherapists, a therapist, a masseur, an extra doctor, equipment officer. That's 10. You have scouts, 3 scouts. You have backroom staff. Stephen Appiah is like a motivator. An extra coach who is coming on board to help the coach. You have a psychologist. So you have about close to 20 people who are experts, whose services are relevant. Our technical team is even small relative to what Portugal or even Brazil will bring to the World Cup. Some of them, even the scouts, they have scouts for each player. We have video analysts. I didn't even mention that we have 2 video analysts who provide scientific video-based evidence of performances of your players and your opponents, their styles, their tactics, their strategies, and what you can do to counter them. So it's not as easy as that you think it's just about players. Then you have management members, about 3 or 4. You have an accountant. Sometimes you have 2 who are there. We have chef. When we travel for tournament, we carry our own cook. We carry 2 or 3 people. They prepare fufu sometimes for the team, sometimes kinky, sometimes wachi, and it's interspersed with the continental dishes that will be provided. And all these people contribute a role, play a role one way or the other in the work of the team. So they are not passengers, or they are not tourists who are just accompanying the team.
Yeah, 70. That's an interesting
I just gave you a breakdown.
Yeah.
If we add these things, it may even be more than so we have to squeeze. But let me tell you, some of the Europeans are coming with about 100 people because they are more sophisticated. We are all coming to play the same game, but because we don't have money, we come with small cloth. You cut your coat according to your size. They come with a bigger cloth. Some are even coming with their own aircrafts that will be traveling around with them. You know, but we can't compare ourselves with them because our country doesn't have the money to afford that kind of thing. Yeah.
There's been a problem with the Stars. Of course, you are not the coach, but you should know about the problem. Penalty kicks.
Penalty kicks, no team has a solution to penalty kicks. The legendary Maradona, Pele, Michel Platini, Roberto Baggio, all of them have made penalty kicks before. It has a lot to do with the psychology of the person at the time. In 2010, Asamoah Gyan missed the penalty during regulation time and scored a penalty during the penalty shootout. And that was even the reason Steve Brooks decided that this is a boy with a strong mentality and I need him in my team. It has to do a lot with the person's mentality. Every player knows how to take the penalty kick. A player can score, another time he may not score. There is really no consistency, 100% consistency in penalty kicks. But like any other aspect of the game, practice makes perfect. And the team has been doing penalty kicks at their training sessions. So the players, the coaches are all mindful of this seeming challenge or threats, and they are working on it.
Is it true that Asamoah Gyan doesn't want to kick penalties again?
Since that experience he went through, he has decided, yes, during the Nations Cup, the penalty kicks were not taken by Asamoah Gyan during regulation time. I think that he had so much psychological wear down and he wanted to wait a bit. I don't know whether at the World Cup he'll be able to take penalties, but he needs to be psyched up. They are all young men and there is a lot of psyching up that has to be done. But during the campaign, after he came back to the team, Wakasu was taking penalty kicks. The day he was taking penalty kicks. Sule Muntari, even when we played Egypt in Kumasi and the penalty occurred, it was Sule Muntari who took it. I'm happy because it will not put too much stress on him, and he's not able to manage the pressure. He's not able to contain it. He's still young and he's not able to. I remember 2008, he packed his things, he nearly left the camp. It took the intervention of President Kufuor to get him to rescind the decision. Then when we went to Equatorial Guinea in 2012, another incident occurred. He missed a penalty. I think he's gone through a lot and we need to encourage him.
Welcome back to Hot Issues, and we are looking at our participation in the World Cup in Brazil. And we are talking to none other than the chairman of the Ghana Football Association, Mr. Kwesi Nyantakyi. So, are you satisfied with the role played by government so far?
Yes, I am. I think that government has done well in providing the needed funding in the midst of the hue and cry from the public. We are lucky that we've enjoyed an excellent relationship from with the government, and we've also got their cooperation. Never have we sent any program for the Black Stars that has been rejected. And when I say government, I refer to even the period prior to the current government coming into force, from the time of President Mills through the time of from the time of President Kufuor through Mills to John Mahama. I think that all the governments have done well to support us.
Very well.
Very, very well. Satisfactorily.
Now, this other issue. We are in a group with Portugal, we are in a group with Germany, and so on. How do you rate our chances against such teams as Germany and Portugal?
I think we must be realistic. It's a very difficult group. Very, very, very difficult. It's not easy to play any competition with Germany and Portugal, who have the pedigree in these high-level competitions, and come out unscathed. We are very mindful of the threats posed by these countries, and we didn't even mention the United States.
Yeah,
it's also a strong and formidable side, but we believe that we are capable of coming out of this group, and that belief is founded on the experience that we have gathered from 2006 to 2010 and now. We believe our players have gathered enough experience. Asamoah has played in all the World Cups since 2006. The same with Suleiman Tari. They have a lot of experience to offer the rest of their colleagues. We have also gained experience even in organization, and that can help the team. That is why, in my view, the program that we have put in place for the team is one of the best. I'm privy to the programs of other teams, including Europeans, but it's not going to be easy. In 2006, we found ourselves in a similar position when we were put in the same group with Italy, eventual winners, Czech Republic, who were rated number 2 in the world then, and then the United States, who were rated number 5. This time we are in the same group with Germany, strong team, Portugal, Cristiano Ronaldo alone is a mouthful, and then the United States, whom we have beaten twice, and there's no guarantee we can beat them again. So it makes it more challenging. But I believe that the training that we have put in place will put the team in a very good position to surmount the hurdle that these other countries will present us.
Another very troublesome question. Playing bonuses or winning bonuses, who takes them?
Winning bonuses are paid to the players and the technical team. They are the two group of people who take winning bonuses.
No officials?
The management, not the management committee of the Black Stars, but the management of the FA, including the management committee of the Black Stars, enjoy what is called honorarium. I will explain to you what it means. In 2006, the GFA approached government and made a case that the traditional group of people who are recognized and remunerated is not enough in the football business, because the traditional people are the players and the technical team. We made a case that management was also responsible for the success or otherwise of a team, and so management should be remunerated one way or the other. The government accepted that fact and decided that in any given game, if a bonus is given to a player, then 2 or 3 players, an amount equivalent to bonuses for 2 or 3 players will be set aside for the management, which is made up of about between 10 and 15 people to share. And I believe in that principle because I believe in rewarding people for work done. I believe that it will dissuade people from thinking about other ways of remunerating themselves. In other words, I think that will take away the tendency of anybody thinking about corrupt ways of making money when you are associated with the team, or even people going to ask players to give them part of their monies and so forth and so forth. And it has gone down well with everybody, and the team is performing. So that is not an illegal payment, it's an approved payment that is given to the team. When the budget is approved, it's also stated there, and those people also get what they are supposed to get. But it doesn't come anywhere near what a player gets.
You just mentioned the issue of corruption. The coach is quoted as having said that some players try to influence him to select them. And in the case of one player, an amount of, I think, 25,000 euros was mentioned.
Yeah.
How are you dealing with
that kind of situation?
Corruption, perception of corruption, or likelihood of corruption in the team?
Yeah. It is a very, I've heard these kind of stories many, many times. I've even heard about coaches being given plots of land. Some are given vehicles. Some are given jewelry, mobile phones, as a way of inducing them to take certain decisions one way or the other. I don't know whether the forum was the right one for the coach to express himself on that issue. I would expect that he would have told management about it, so that we will get in touch with whoever that was, and if there are any sanctions, we apply them and then announce them for people to know that we don't condone corrupt practices. Be that as it may, it is something that has come to our notice, and we have indicated that we want to get further and better particulars from the coach, so we can really tackle the issue at its roots. But corruption is part of human society. It is your failure to deal with it that makes it problematic. And in football, it's so competitive to get players on board, and so I'm not surprised at all. And to be a good coach, you must be able to stand up to corruption. If you allow players to influence you one way or the other, there's no way you can control them. And I think if the coach really did that, is good. Just that I expect that he will report it formally for us to deal with the issue.
What are the mechanisms that you have introduced to ensure greater accountability for the resources which have been put at your disposal?
Yeah, the GFA is very, very accountable, contrary to the erroneous impression out there that the GFA is a corrupt institution. There are many mechanisms put in place. First of all, we have an accounts department separate which handles our finances, and for every expenditure to be incurred, you will need approval from a higher authority for that. And before that approval comes, there is a pre-auditing of the request to recommend approval or a decline. Once the expenditure is incurred, you are expected to back the expenditure up with the necessary documentation. These documentations are sent to the accounts department, which are kept for auditing purposes. The GFA is audited by the Auditor General of Ghana. It is not a public institution, yet we agreed that the Auditor General should audit the GFA. The Auditor General audits the GFA because in the past, football was an appendage of the National Sports Council. And so all the sporting bodies under the National Sports Council, including the GFA, were audited by the Auditor General. That practice has continued, notwithstanding changes in structure and management of the FA. When the audit is done by the Auditor General, the report is sent to the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament. And if there are any issues that require answers, the GFA is summoned to the Public Accounts Committee to answer. I don't know how many companies in Ghana have such a strict mechanism for accountability like the FA. It's only the public service. And even the way our accounts are audited, sometimes it becomes public issue. The debate on the expenditures become a matter of public issue. But before it even goes to a Public Accounts Committee, the report is sent to the General Assembly of the GFA, made up of all the clubs. We converge and discuss the accounts, and the accounts are approved. So it's very rigorous, and I think that's the best that we can have. There's nothing better than what we have. And so tendencies of corruption may be there, but I think they are reduced to the barest minimum.
Now, finally, I mean, and I'm told that your budgets always have components for dealing with something called ways and means. Is that true? And if it's true, what is ways and means?
No, there's nothing like that.
No ways and means at all.
There's nothing like that in the budget. What I guess you may be looking at is protocol.
Oh, okay.
Maybe protocol. Yeah. Protocol is protocol. What it means is that a certain amount is set aside to cover sometimes meetings or entertainment of guests during competitions.
Or prayers.
No. Let me tell you clearly that when I came to the GFA, I decided, and that decision has affected everybody else in the GFA, that any expense that is unable to elicit a receipt should be frowned upon. So we all engage spiritualists to pray for the team, but I use my money.
Your own money?
Yes, I spend as much as 10,000 Ghana cedis on that. I cannot produce a receipt.
And the spiritualists cannot pray for the team without taking money?
Yes, they don't pray for the team without taking money.
Doing God's work. And
yes, God's work is God doesn't charge anybody, but those who work in the name of God, they charge.
And they charge 10,000.
Not one person. People charge money. I'm talking about an aggregate of or the sum total of monies that may be spent. People perform sacrifices, and it cuts across all religions. Christianity,
all
the Islamic, yeah, they all.
Maybe if we can become football players, we should become religious leaders. Well, sir, thank you very much.
Yeah, welcome. Welcome.
Thank you very much for coming.
Yeah,
and
it's a pleasure for
from those of us at TV3, we wish you a successful campaign.
Thank you very much.
And viewers, you know that the best in sports is from TV3. Keep your dial on TV3 throughout the World Cup, and we will deliver. Thank you very much for staying with us, and it's goodbye from all of us at TV3. Bye-bye.